At the European Conference of Social Work Research here in Amsterdam, I met a guy named Paul McCafferty. He's working at Queens University in Belfast, and he is in particular interested in decision making in social work.
It goes back to a time very early in my career. I was a newly qualified social worker at the time. I was about 24 and I had been working with a family for quite a while. And it got to the stage where I felt that the risk was in the family was quite high. It was too high to manage the children at home. So I had felt that it was important that the children were removed into care, and that was an unfortunate decision that had to be made. We sat at a case conference and we were discussing the issues that had arisen in the family, and people were asking me, what have you decided? What is your decision, Paul? And I said, my decision is that I feel that these children should be brought into care. It's much safer for them to live in care than it is at home. And everybody was nodding wisely and saying that, yes, that sounds sensible, that's very good. So I felt that things were going okay. I didn't realise that the person beside me was sitting weeping. And I looked to my right and the person was sitting weeping, and she stood up in the case conference room and she pointed right at me and she said to me, forgive my language, Roar, but she pointed and she said to me, what the fuck would you know? And I thought, my goodness, yes, what would I know? If someone asked me at that time, what knowledge did you use to make this momentous decision? This was a life-changing decision for this family. If I put my hand on my heart, I'm not sure that I could have outlined all of the knowledge that I used to make this decision. So I came away from that case conference very upset. I was really disturbed. I was annoyed with myself because I had asked myself, what would I know? What knowledge have I got to make these life-changing decisions?
Yeah, and you've actually done a lot of research on this. So what kind of knowledge do they use?
There are 5 sources of knowledge that a social worker should use to make good, robust, defensible decisions. 5 sources of knowledge, and they are organisational knowledge, policies, procedures, the law; practitioner knowledge, what you know as a practitioner, what you know from your clinical experience; theoretical knowledge; research knowledge; and knowledge we gain from service users. So to make a good decision, you need to use all 5 equally. Now, what I found was that the social workers that I interviewed are only using 2 sources of knowledge, and that is organisational knowledge, the law, and practitioner knowledge. So very few are using theory, no one is using research, and no one was using service user knowledge.
And what's the problem with this? What does it entail?
What I found was, if you're only using those 2 sources of knowledge, your decisions tend to be more interventionist, more protectionist in orientation than they should be. So we are prone to the social and political mores of the day.
In a way, do you say that people actually are making uninformed decisions due to the lack of use of theory, user service knowledge and research?
It's not that they're completely uninformed, it's that they are privileging certain types of knowledge over others. And social workers can be reluctant to engage with theory. They can be reluctant to engage with research. And again, that's problematic, because if you're not using theory to inform your decisions, if you're not using research to inform your decisions, if you're not using service user knowledge, your decisions are potentially not as robust as they should be. My message to student social workers would be that theory is absolutely critical. It's not a bolt-on, it's not an add-on, it's not something that maybe you can and can't know. It's something that you absolutely should know. Research is also something that you should be passionate about. You should develop research skills. But to be a good practitioner, you do need theory and you do need research. They are absolutely critical to making good, robust, defensible decisions, Roar.